Climate change has triggered the thawing of Arctic permafrost across northern Canada. As the frozen ground dissolves, extraordinary discoveries have begun emerging from the depths. Recently, something that remained dormant beneath the ice for thousands of years has returned to active life. What have researchers uncovered? And could this breakthrough maybe pave the way for humans to be preserved in frozen states and revived thousands of years into the future? During the era when massive woolly rhinoceros wandered the continent, another organism existed that might be the most resilient, microscopic life form you've never encountered. Meet the bedelloid rotifer, named Alexis rotundus. This tiny multicellular organism possesses intricate biological structures. It ranks among Earth's most radiation-tolerant creatures, capable of enduring starvation, oxygen deprivation, decades of desiccation, and thriving in highly corrosive conditions. Why hasn't this remarkable organism gained widespread recognition until now? The answer, honestly, lies in the fact that this creature remained unknown and preserved in Canadian permafrost for 24,000 years, yet it continues to live. More remarkably, after being warmed, the minuscule organism resumed its normal activities, consuming nutrients and multiplying as if nothing extraordinary had occurred. How can this phenomenon be explained? Scientists remain puzzled by this microscopic animal's ability to protect its cellular components and organs from devastating conditions like freezing, along with its capacity to repair damaged genetic material. However, intensive research is underway to decode these mechanisms. These ancient creatures, known as bedelloid rotifers, survived in a state of cryptobiosis, halting all biological activity until conditions became favorable again. Once thawed, they not only resumed normal functions but also began reproducing asexually, as if their millennia-long slumber had never happened. This represents just one instance of ancient frozen life forms returning to activity. Back in 2018, Canadian researchers discovered 2 microscopic roundworms preserved in permafrost from separate locations estimated to be somewhere between 32,000 and 42,000 years old. And when temperatures reached suitable levels, these organisms actually became active again, beginning to move and feed. If accurate, these specimens represent the 2 most ancient living organisms currently known to science. Gold miners also discovered a female wolf pup specimen that had been preserved in permafrost for 57,000 years. X-ray analysis revealed that the gray wolf pup, now named Jure, was only 7 weeks old when she died. This discovery really demonstrates the remarkable preservation capabilities of permafrost environments. Currently, scientists are working intensively to unlock the biological secrets of these microorganisms, hoping to develop methods for preserving other animal cells, tissues, and organs, both on Earth and in space environments. This research has actually led to experiments where both rotifers and tardigrades have been transported to outer space for testing. Regarding tardigrades, these represent another category of extremely hardy microorganisms. For those unfamiliar with these creatures, they're microscopic extremophiles commonly called water bears or moss piglets. They can survive complete oxygen absence, radioactive and cosmic radiation, boiling temperatures, extreme pressures, sub-zero conditions, and even the vacuum of space for extended periods during cryptobiosis, which is a state of complete metabolic shutdown. Their resilience is extraordinary. Frozen moss collected from Arctic regions in 1983 contained tardigrades that were stored at -20 degrees Celsius. In May 2014, Japanese researchers thawed one of these organisms. After about 2 weeks, the creature began moving and feeding, and then, it actually laid 19 eggs, from which 14 healthy water bears emerged without defects or complications. This organism had remained frozen for over 30 years in ice, which is honestly truly remarkable. Demand for cryonics in the Asia-Pacific region increased dramatically in the early 2020s, and Southern Cryonics opened the Southern Hemisphere's first cryonics facility in 2024. This expansion really reflects growing global interest in preservation technologies. This isn't the sole instance of scientists reviving organisms frozen for millennia. In 2014, researchers discovered an ancient pathogen extracted from permafrost layers 30 meters deep, remaining inactive for over 30,000 years. The significant surprise occurred when French scientists warmed the pathogen and observed it becoming active. This pathogen was large enough to be visible under standard microscopes, unlike typical pathogens. Furthermore, it retained its infectious properties. However, there's no cause for concern. This ancient pathogen cannot harm humans or other animals, though it did successfully attack and eliminate certain single-celled amoebas. Naturally, while this particular ancient pathogen poses no threat, this doesn't guarantee that potentially dangerous organisms aren't still hidden beneath the frozen tundra, waiting to be unleashed and potentially infect humans. Some scientists believe it's merely a matter of time before melting Canadian permafrost releases an ancient deadly pathogen or epidemic. It serves as a kind of time capsule, preserving, in addition to ancient viruses, the mummified remains of a number of extinct animals that scientists have been able to unearth and study in recent years, including 2 cave lion cubs and a woolly rhino. These discoveries continue to provide insights into prehistoric ecosystems. Ancient microscopic organisms aren't the only life forms capable of surviving extreme cold. Other contemporary animals can handle subarctic temperatures, such as the wood frog that survives harsh weather by freezing up to 70% of its body, including its brain and eyes. The frog's cardiac function and respiration completely cease. When spring arrives, the animal thaws and its body returns to normal function. How does this process work? Wood frogs possess specialized proteins that remove most water from their cells, while the liver produces glucose resembling sugary syrup that fills the cells and functions as antifreeze. This explains why humans and most other creatures cannot survive freezing temperatures. Water expansion within animal cells during freezing causes cells to expand and rupture. We understand that humans cannot survive extreme cold without substantial winter protection. But could it be possible in the future to freeze a human being, then perhaps 100 or even 1,000 years later, reanimate them and restore them to normal condition? Science fiction films often depict people being cryogenically frozen for lengthy space journeys. And in these fictional scenarios, cryosleep also halts the aging process. How much of this technology is actually feasible? Although human revival is currently impossible, advancements in artificial intelligence, genetic modification, and stem cell research may make it feasible in the future. Several companies specialize in freezing human bodies or cryogenically preserving them when individuals die from incurable diseases. The concept involves freezing a person's body, then, when medical technology advances sufficiently, reanimating the individual and curing their disease. Phoenix Life Extension is located in Phoenix, Arizona, and currently maintains over 200 people cryogenically frozen until medical science advances enough that physicians might be able to revive and cure them. 2 additional facilities offer freezing services for those with adequate financial resources. The Cryonics Institute in Michigan and Russia's CryoRis house the frozen bodies of at least 50 people under cryogenic preservation. The oldest of these frozen humans is a 73-year-old psychiatrist named Michael Crawford, who has been frozen for over 50 years. He gained recognition as the first person to have his body legally cryopreserved after passing away from kidney cancer in 1967. In 1991, Phoenix Life Extension decided to relocate Crawford and examine his condition. When they opened his metal chamber, they were surprised to discover his body remained in excellent condition. He was then wrapped in a new preservation bag, re-immersed in liquid nitrogen, and placed in a new aluminum container. Famous basketball player Michael Jordan has also been preserved in liquid nitrogen with hopes of future resurrection. However, skeptics of this process argue that once a person dies, that's final. Except for human embryos, no human has ever been successfully revived from a cryogenically frozen state. You might wonder how these facilities can freeze individuals and halt aging without completely freezing, rupturing, and causing irreversible cellular damage. When you contract a company to freeze you, their cryonicists rapidly drain your blood, then perfuse your body with a mixture of antifreeze and organ-preserving chemicals called cryoprotective agents. You are then vitrified, placed temporarily in a solution that dehydrates your body, then lowered into a sub-freezing chamber filled with liquid nitrogen at -200 degrees Celsius. Cryonics is a revolutionary process that involves preserving human bodies at ultra-low temperatures to maintain their integrity until medical advancements can potentially revive and cure them. The process, known as vitrification, involves replacing the body's blood with a special solution. This doesn't sound particularly pleasant. If you choose cryogenic freezing, costs are approximately $220,000 with Phoenix Life Extension, only $30,000 with the Cryonics Institute, and, well, Russian cryo-risk charges remain unclear, though they're likely affordable only for the wealthy. Some critics actually call these facilities expensive morgues, believing it will never be possible to resurrect a frozen human because brain destruction occurs during freezing. Advanced medical science might, really challenge that assumption. In 2017, a promising American scientist named David Thompson from the California Institute of Technology successfully froze and revived the mammalian brain of a New Zealand white rabbit. When thawed, the rabbit brain retained all its synapses, cell membranes, and intracellular structures intact. Other companies are, monitoring developments closely, because if successfully freezing and reanimating humans becomes possible, applications for space travel would be enormous. One corporation, Stellar Works Enterprises, is collaborating with NASA to construct a stasis chamber that could induce torpor or metabolic inactivity for astronauts traveling vast distances. The science fiction technology behind the chamber relies on therapeutic hypothermia, where body temperature would be reduced to 32 degrees Celsius while sedated, preventing awareness of the frozen sleep state. This nearly suspends metabolic rate into suspended animation. While this sounds dangerous, it actually counteracts potential injury to bodily tissues resulting from hypoxia. This chamber would also prevent harmful effects of microgravity exposure, block lethal space radiation, and provide astronauts with intravenous nourishment. This approach would allow spacecraft to carry fewer supplies and would positively affect mental stability. Astronauts on 6 to 7 month journeys in small enclosed vessels traveling to Mars might irritate each other quickly. However, numerous medical science advances are needed before reaching the stage of awakening cryogenically frozen humans and utilizing this technology for space travel, including nanotechnology required to repair tissues at the molecular level. Even the most skeptical experts acknowledge that chances of resurrecting cryogenically frozen humans are low, but not impossible. It appears cryosleep might actually become reality. If humanity can overcome this challenge, it would enable not only long-distance space travel but also represent a step towards saving and preserving life and intelligence as we know it.